Welcome back to part 2. Now we are going to modify the install disk for use on a real Amiga. We need to copy most of the same files to the install disk that we copied to our hard file earlier. Press F12 to bring up the menu and insert the install disk into DF0. The disk title bar shows we only have 33 kilobytes of free disk space available, which means we are going to have to delete some files in order to make room for the ones we need to add. Highlight the expansion, HD setup, install and system directories, as well as the installer, and delete them all. Now we need to copy these files from the hard file to the same locations on the install disk. Load module, PFS format, and set FN size to C. The SCSI device files to devs, and then the PFS3 handler to L. If your Amiga has an 060 processor, you will also need to copy the correct libs for your card to the libs directory. In my case, I need the Phase 5 libraries. Next, we need to alter the startup sequence on the install disk to load the correct SCSI device driver before we start to partition the card in our Amiga. This will ensure the device's geometry is read correctly no matter what size the drive is. Enter the S directory on the install disk and highlight startup sequence and click on edit. Add 2 new lines at the top of the file as shown. Then, if you have an A1200, add a semicolon at the start of the A4000 line so it will be ignored. If you are using an A4000, then you need to swap them around. I'll be using one, but you will most likely be using an A1200. It's important the right driver is loaded as these files are machine specific. Most memory cards these days come pre-formatted for Windows, usually using the FAT32 file system. Windows uses the MBR method to store partition information on disk drives, and as a security measure it protects this area from being altered by accident or by malicious software. The Amiga uses the RDB method to store this same information, so to make the card bootable on an Amiga we need to remove the MBR and then install an RDB onto it. To do this we must use a tool called DiskPart. Insert the compact flash card you are going to use in your Amiga into your PC now if you haven't already done so. Find the run command from the start menu and type in CMD and press enter to open the command prompt. Type DiskPart and press enter, then type list disk and the list of disks in your system will be displayed. You should be able to spot your card by the size of it in the list. I have a 16GB card inserted, and as you can see disk 3 is being read as 15GB. We now know which disk we need to clean, so type in select disk 3 and press enter. Triple check you have selected the correct disk or you will destroy the data on the wrong drive. Type in clean all and press enter and the MBR will be removed. Once we have the means to partition drives in an Amiga, we won't need to use DiskPart again. In the Amiga directory, right click on menu A64 and select properties from the menu. Go to the compatibility tab and tick on the box, run this program as an administrator and click OK. Now WinUAE will start in admin mode all of the time and avoid the problem I am demonstrating. With your compact flash card inserted into your PC, run WinUAE and load your settings file. Go to the CD and hard drive section and click on add hard drive and select your card from the drop down list. Make sure read write is ticked and that UAEHF.device is selected. I have 2 cards inserted, so I have selected ID 5, so I know which card to choose in the next step. Click Start and open System, then Tools. Click on the HC toolbox once, then right click on it and select Info and then click on the Tool Types tab. With the SCSI device line highlighted, click on the brackets to deactivate this line without deleting it. Then enter a new entry or scene, save it, then load the program. In the last step I set the SCSI address to 5, so choose that entry and click on Change Drive Type. Next click on Define New and then Reconfiguration. As you can see, it has detected the values for us, and anyone not familiar with this would save them and continue on using the card. However, this would be the starting point for a lot of future problems, as all of these values are incorrect. The card would work for a while, but as you add data, the likelihood of getting block ID errors amongst others would almost be guaranteed. Even though these values are incorrect, it will be safe enough for the small amount of data we are going to write to it before we do it properly in a real Amiga. Click OK twice, then partition drive. Click on the second partition and delete it. Then adjust the slider to make a small partition of about 100 MB. Tick Advanced Options, then click on Change. Then edit the max transfer box to read 0x1FA00 and press Enter. Click OK twice, then save the changes to the drive and exit HD Toolbox. Then reboot the emulator. Now the partition we just created can be formatted ready to use. Right click on it and select Format from the menu. Name it Workbench, then select Quick Format and click OK. Load directory ropes again and right click on the S button to bring up the device list. Select the new partition, then display DH0 in the right lister. Select all the files from the hard file and copy them across to your card. Once that is finished, go to your Amiga directory on the PC drive and highlight the Install ADF we all had earlier. Right click the copy button to activate the Copy As function so we can copy it across with a shorter file name. Type in install.adf and click OK. Now we are ready to put the card into our Amiga. In the next part, you will need an error-free floppy disk to write install ADF to. Then we will properly partition the card, install PFS3, format partitions and enable long file names. See you then.